Part 3. Korean Mafia boss hired a black female bodyguard. She took down 50-plus assassins in one night. How many more have to die before you realize what you created, General? Kira stood in the center of Spectre's command room, surrounded by the elite security forces that had once been her family. Blood dripped from her knuckles onto the pristine floor. Behind her, 12 operatives lay unconscious, the supposedly unbeatable security detail assigned to protect General Richards. The general smiled, unperturbed by the carnage. We didn't create you to have a conscience, Black 09. That was your mistake. Kira's voice remained deadly calm as she stepped over bodies toward the man who had ordered her unit's execution. You built the perfect weapon but forgot weapons can change hands. Richard's smile faltered as she moved closer. You won't kill me. You need me alive to expose Spectre. I don't need you alive. Kira's eyes reflected nothing but cold calculation. I just need your fingerprint, your retinal scan, and access to the Blackwater files, all of which work perfectly well after death. The general's hand moved imperceptibly toward the desk drawer. Kira was already there, catching his wrist. Those 12 men had families, she whispered, inches from his face. I let them live. You never gave my unit the same choice. For the first time, real fear flickered across the general's features. What are you going to do? Kira's smile was the most terrifying thing he had ever seen. Exactly what you trained me to do. If you think revenge is just about killing, you've never seen true justice delivered by someone who understands the full value of making enemies live with their failures. Hit subscribe right now to witness how the perfect weapon dismantles the system that created her, and what happens when a lone warrior finally finds something worth living for. The journey to this moment had begun 46 minutes earlier, when Kira had slipped back into the Korean embassy annex. Not through any of the expected entry points. Not through the service corridors or loading docks. She went through the front door. In the chaos following Micha's extraction, Spectre had established checkpoints at all exits. Guards checking everyone leaving. No one was paying attention to someone walking in. Especially someone wearing the stolen uniform of an embassy administrative assistant, head down, badge prominently displayed. Invisibility through visibility, the oldest trick in espionage. Kira moved through the building's public areas with practiced indifference. Just another staff member responding to the emergency. Her destination wasn't the third floor where Micha had been held. That had been a temporary holding cell. The real Spectre command center would be deeper, more secure. Probably underground. She found it by following the right people. Not the visible security. They were just muscle. She watched for the ones who moved with purpose during crisis. The ones checking secure devices. The ones whose body language screamed authority without needing to display it. One such man caught her attention. Mid-50s. Military bearing disguised beneath diplomatic credentials. He took an elevator that required special access. Kira waited 30 seconds, then approached the same elevator. The biometric scanner was military grade. Impossible to hack quickly, but Kira hadn't come unprepared. From her pocket, she removed what looked like a makeup compact. Inside was a synthetic fingerprint film copied from Commander Cole during his captivity in Seoul. The elevator accepted it without hesitation. Doors closed. Descent began. What waited below was exactly what she had expected, and precisely what she had come for. Spectre's Washington Command Center occupied a subterranean level beneath the embassy annex. Diplomatic territory. Outside American jurisdiction. The perfect location for an organization that officially didn't exist. 27 operatives. For analysts, 3 senior commanders. And at the center, General Marcus Richards, the man who had given the order to eliminate her entire unit 3 years ago. The architect of Operation Black River. The reason 32 American operatives had been declared dead on a mission that never officially existed. Kira had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. 3 years turning grief into purpose. 3 years becoming something more dangerous than what Spectre had created. The first 9 operatives never saw her coming. Precision strikes to pressure points. No wasted movement. No unnecessary force. Just the mechanical efficiency that had made Black 0 Division legendary. The command center's alarm triggered at Operative 10. Red lights, klaxons, Security doors initiating lockdown protocols. Too late. Kira was already inside the inner perimeter, already moving toward the glass-walled office where General Richards watched with growing concern, already counting her targets with the same detached precision she'd displayed in Seoul. 10, 11, 12. The special security detail moved to intercept. Elite operators. Specialized training. The best Spectre had to offer. 13, 14, 15. They tried to flank her. Standard protocol against a superior opponent. Create overlapping fields of attack. Force defensive postures that would eventually create openings. It might have worked against anyone else. 16 through 22 went down in a sequence so fluid, so perfectly executed that the remaining operatives hesitated. Just for a moment. Long enough for Kira to close distance. 23, 24, 25. The last two operatives were smarter than their colleagues. They established distance, created space for ranged options. Kira didn't give them the chance. She used a desk as a launching point, clearing the distance with a precision that defied normal human limitations. Their training told them to separate, to divide her attention. Their training was wrong. 26, 27. The analysts surrendered immediately, hands raised, no resistance offered. They were intelligence personnel, not combat operatives. They recognized the difference between courage and suicide. The three commanders were different. They had risen through Spectre's ranks, had once been operators themselves, had personally terminated targets deemed threats to national security. They engaged simultaneously, coordinated attack patterns, experience compensating for age, strategy replacing raw speed. Kira dismantled their coordination first, isolated the weakest, neutralized the strongest, created panic in the third, 30, 31, 32, which left only General Richards, watching through glass walls as his entire command structure collapsed in less than 4 minutes. He didn't run, didn't call for help, simply sat behind his desk, waiting as Kira approached. Behind her, 32 of Spectre's elite security forces lay incapacitated, not dead, unconscious, restrained, alive to witness what came next. Impressive demonstration, Richards said when she entered his office, but pointless. You've simply proven what we always knew, that you were our finest creation. Kira's expression remained unchanged. I'm not here for validation. No? Then what? Revenge. His smile was condescending. That's beneath your programming, 9. My name, she said quietly, is Kira Stone. The conversation that followed, that brought them to this moment of recognition and fear, had revealed everything. How Operation Black River had been compromised from the beginning. How Kira's unit had discovered evidence of Spectre operations that violated American law and international treaties. How Richards had personally ordered their elimination to protect political careers and Pentagon budgets. How the perfect weapon had been pointed at her own people. Now, with Richards' wrist in her grasp and terror finally showing in his eyes, Kira made her choice. I'm not going to kill you, she said, releasing him suddenly. That would be mercy you don't deserve. Before he could respond, she placed a device on his desk. Small, unassuming, military grade. Do you know what this is? Richards stared at it, recognition dawning. A quantum decryption key. Those are theoretical. They don't exist outside research labs. Spectre doesn't have a monopoly on advanced technology, General. This one comes courtesy of Park Jun-ho's legitimate technology division. It just broke through your security protocols. As she spoke, screens throughout the command center changed. Files opening. Encryption falling. Spectre's most closely guarded secrets displayed for all to see. Every operation, every assassination, every illegal action taken under the guise of national security. All uploading to secure servers around the world. All being released to every major news organization simultaneously. Richards lunged for the device. Kira didn't stop him. Didn't need to. The upload was already complete. The damage done. You have no idea what you've done. He snarled, desperation replacing confidence. The chaos this will cause. The damage to international relations. The danger to operatives in the field. I know exactly what I've done. Kira's voice remained calm. I've given Spectre exactly what it claimed to want: transparency, accountability, justice. Richards reached for his desk drawer again. This time Kira allowed it. He removed a pistol, pointed it directly at her heart. I should have killed you myself 3 years ago. Yes, you should have. She made no move to defend herself. But that would have been efficient. And men like you prefer to delegate the dirty work. His finger tightened on the trigger. His hand trembled slightly. Not from fear, but from rage. From the recognition that everything he had built was collapsing around him. The door behind Kira opened. Armed men in suits entered. Not Spectre operatives. FBI, Homeland Security, the oversight committees that Spectre had evaded for decades. General Marcus Richards, the lead agent, announced, "You're under arrest for treason against the United States, violation of international law, and the illegal operation of a covert assassination program without congressional oversight." Richards' eyes never left Kira's. They'll bury this. They always do. Too many powerful people implicated. Too much at stake. Not this time. Kira nodded toward the screens where files continued to cascade. The encryption key didn't just access your files. It accessed your offshore accounts. The ones holding blackmail material on politicians. The ones containing evidence of who authorized what. All of it releasing simultaneously to multiple sources. For the first time, genuine defeat registered on the general's face. You've destroyed everything. No. Kira finally allowed herself the smallest of smiles. I've simply ensured that weapons like me can never be created again. The FBI agents moved forward, securing Richards, reading him his rights. Around them, the Spectre command center continued to disgorge its secrets. Decades of covert operations exposed to light. Kira stepped back, watching as the organization that had created her, trained her, betrayed her, and hunted her finally collapsed under the weight of its own secrets. One of the agents approached her cautiously. "Miss Stone, we have some questions about your involvement. I have diplomatic immunity." She produced credentials bearing the seal of JH Global Industries, now recognized by the Korean government as an official trade representative. Any questions should be directed through appropriate channels. The agent looked skeptical but didn't argue. Even as Spectre fell, the rules of international diplomacy remained. Kira took one last look at General Richards as agents led him away. No satisfaction, no pleasure in his downfall. Just the quiet certainty that justice, delayed by 3 years, had finally arrived. Her phone vibrated. A secure message from Jun Ho. "Micha secure. Tracker neutralized. Are you?" 3 simple words that contained more than they appeared. Not just asking about her physical safety. Asking if she had found what she came for. If the mission was complete. If the ghosts were finally laid to rest. She typed a response equally simple. "Mission complete. Coming home. Home." A word she hadn't used in years. Hadn't allowed herself to contemplate. Home implied safety. Permanence. Things a weapon wasn't designed to have. As she navigated through the chaos of the falling command center, past federal agents securing evidence and dazed Spectre personnel being detained, Kira felt something unfamiliar settling within her. Not closure, the damage was too deep for that, but perhaps the beginning of something new. The elevator carried her upward, away from the underground facility that represented everything she had been fighting against. In her pocket, a second device contained copies of all Spectre files related to Black Zero Division. Her unit, her friends, the truth about their deaths and the lies told to cover them up. The embassy above was in chaos. Diplomatic personnel trying to distance themselves from the Spectre operation beneath their feet. Security forces uncertain whose orders to follow. Perfect conditions for an unnoticed exit. Kira moved through the confusion like a ghost. Identity changing with each security checkpoint. Embassy staff, FBI consultant, diplomatic liaison. Whatever role gained her passage without question. Outside, Washington, D.C. continued its evening routine. Government workers heading home. Tourists photographing monuments. No one aware that beneath an unassuming embassy annex, one of the most powerful covert organizations in history had just collapsed. The extraction vehicle waited 3 blocks away. Inside, not Jun Ho's security team as expected, but Min Soo Kim, Jun-ho's cousin. The man who had betrayed them to the NIS. Kira's body tensed instantly, prepared for threat. Before you neutralize me, Kim said quickly, Jun-ho sent me himself, as a gesture of trust. She didn't relax. Why would he trust you after your betrayal? Because I explained everything. Kim's expression was pained. The NIS had my family, my children. They threatened them if I didn't cooperate. Kira studied him carefully, looking for deception. Found none. Jun-ho understands family pressure better than most, Kim continued. He's giving me a chance to redeem myself by bringing you safely to the airfield. Still cautious, Kira entered the vehicle, positioned to neutralize Kim if necessary. Where are Jun-ho and Micha? Already airborne, heading to a secure location in Japan. You'll rendezvous there. Kim started the engine. The tracker in Micha has been removed and disposed of. Spectre's monitoring network is in disarray with the command center compromised. Kira said nothing, processing the information, evaluating risks, planning contingencies. He was confident you would succeed, Kim added after several minutes of silence. Even when the NIS said it was impossible to penetrate Spectre's headquarters, Jun-ho never doubted. Something shifted in Kira's expression. Subtle, almost imperceptible, but there. What happens now? Kim asked as they approached the private airfield. With Spectre exposed, with the files released, Kira watched the approaching lights of the runway. A sleek corporate jet waited, engines already running. Chaos, she said simply. Investigations, prosecutions, intelligence agencies around the world scrambling to distance themselves, politicians denying knowledge, the usual aftermath when powerful people are exposed. And us? JH Global Industries? Jun-ho. For the first time since entering the vehicle, Kira relaxed slightly. That depends on what Jun-ho wants. The legitimate business is untouched. His criminal past is buried in Spectre's files, but without context, without evidence. The car stopped beside the waiting jet. Kira moved to exit, then paused, turning back to Kim. Tell me something. The truth. Why did you really betray him? Was it just your family, or something more? Kim's hands tightened on the steering wheel. You've seen what he's become since meeting you, how he's changed. The Iron Dragon was feared but predictable. This new Jun-ho moving between worlds, building something different. It frightens people. Powerful people. People like the NIS. Like everyone who benefited from the old arrangement. Kim's eyes met hers. Change is always feared most by those with the most to lose. Kira nodded once, understanding completely. Thank you for your honesty. As she climbed the steps to the jet, Kim called after her. What will you do now? With Spectre gone, with your mission complete. She paused at the cabin door, considering the question. 3 years of her life dedicated to a single purpose. 3 years defined by vengeance, by the need for justice, by the ghosts of her unit demanding recognition. And now? I don't know, she admitted. I haven't thought beyond this day. The confession felt strange, uncomfortable. Weapons didn't have futures. Didn't have choices. Didn't have blank pages waiting to be filled. The jet door closed behind her. Engines accelerated. Washington, D.C. fell away beneath her. 6,000 miles and 14 hours separated her from Jun-ho and Micha. From whatever came next. For the first time in 3 years, Kira Stone slept without nightmares. If you believe the hardest battle isn't defeating your enemies but figuring out who you are when the fight ends, hit that subscribe button right now. Comment below what you think awaits Kira when she reunites with Jun-ho, and whether someone trained only for war can ever truly find peace. The private terminal at Tokyo's Haneda Airport operated with quiet efficiency. No customs lines, no passport control, just discreet service for those wealthy enough to bypass normal procedures. Kira was the only passenger disembarking. 14 hours of solitude had given her time to process everything. The fall of Spectre. The exposure of decades of illegal operations. The arrest of the man who had ordered her unit's execution. Victory by any objective measure. Yet as she descended the aircraft steps into the humid Tokyo morning, she felt strangely hollow. Completion without satisfaction. Conclusion without closure. A black Lexus waited on the tarmac. The driver remained inside, engine running. Security protocol. Limit exposure. Maintain mobility. The back door opened as she approached. Jun-ho stepped out, impeccable in a tailored suit despite the early hour. His eyes scanned her for injuries, for signs of the battle she'd fought. Finding none visible, he simply nodded. It's done. It's done. Kira handed him a secure tablet. Everything. Names. Operations. Financial networks. All public now. And Richards. In federal custody. Along with 37 Spectre officers. More arrests happening globally as we speak. Jun-ho took a moment to process this. The culmination of 3 months of hunting. The organization that had targeted his family, that had kidnapped his daughter, dismantled in a single night. Get in, he said finally. Micha is waiting. The drive took them away from Tokyo's urban center, toward mountains shrouded in morning mist. A landscape of ancient temples and modern security. The perfect balance of tradition and protection. Your sister? Kira asked as skyscrapers gave way to forests. Released this morning. The NIS is distancing itself from Spectre as quickly as possible, claiming she was acting under orders to infiltrate and expose the organization. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Politicians are remarkably adaptable when their own survival is at stake. And your cousin? Kim? Returning to Seoul. His family is safe. His debt to me is paid. Jun-ho glanced at her. You let him live, even knowing he betrayed us. He made a choice to protect his children. I understand that kind of choice. Something shifted in Jun-ho's expression. Not quite softening, but recognition. Acknowledgement that beneath her lethal efficiency lay understanding. Empathy. Humanity Spectre had tried and failed to program out of her. How is Micha? Kira changed the subject, uncomfortable with his scrutiny. Physically? Unharmed. Mentally? He paused, searching for words. Stronger than I expected. Angry about being used. Curious about you. Me? She has questions. About how one person could dismantle an organization that governments couldn't touch. About the woman who saved her when professionals failed. The compound appeared through the trees. Traditional Japanese architecture with modern additions. Wood and stone harmonizing with glass and steel. High walls. Discreet security. A sanctuary designed to be both beautiful and impenetrable. Micha waited on the veranda. 17 years old but carrying herself with the poised dignity of someone older. Her resemblance to Jun-ho was striking. Same watchful eyes. Same controlled posture. Same ability to project calm while assessing everything. She bowed formally when Kira approached. Thank you for saving my life. Kira returned the bow, matching the girl's formality. You saved yourself by staying strong. By not giving them what they wanted. Fear they could exploit. Micha studied her with undisguised curiosity. My father says you were like me once. That Spectre took you and made you into something else. Jun-ho tensed slightly, but Kira nodded. In some ways, they took my choices. Tried to take my humanity. They failed. And that's why you helped us? Because you saw yourself in me? Partly. Kira glanced at Jun-ho. And partly because some debts can only be paid forward. They moved inside to a spacious room overlooking a traditional garden. Screens displayed news broadcasts from around the world. The same story on every channel. Spectre exposed. Government officials resigning. Intelligence directors called to testify. The biggest intelligence scandal in decades unfolding in real time. Your work, Jun-ho observed, gesturing toward the screens. Our work, Kira corrected. Your resources made it possible. Micha watched them both, eyes moving between her father and this enigmatic woman who had saved her, observing the unspoken communication, the shared purpose, the tentative trust that had developed between two people who trusted no one. What happens now? She asked finally. To us? To JH Global Industries. Jun-ho turned to Kira, the same question in his eyes. For 3 months they had operated with a single purpose. Hunt Spectre. Protect his family. Now, with that mission complete, what remained? Before Kira could respond, her secure phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Coordinates. Time. A single word. Contingency. What is it? Junho asked, noting her expression. Director Chen. My former handler before Spectre. The one who recruited me originally. Kira's voice remained neutral, but tension showed in her posture. She wants to meet. A trap. Possibly. Probably. Kira studied the message. But she's not Spectre. Never was. CIA counterintelligence. She's the one who first alerted me that my unit had been targeted for elimination. You trust her. Trust is too strong a word. But she had opportunities to betray me and didn't. That counts for something in our world. Junho considered this. When? Tomorrow. Neutral location. Public enough to prevent ambush. Private enough for conversation. I'm coming with you. Kira looked up sharply. That's not necessary. It's not a request. His voice had the quiet authority that had built an empire. Where you go, I go. Until this is finished completely. Micha watched this exchange with growing interest. You're not just his bodyguard anymore, are you? The question hung in the air between them. Simple words that exposed the complex evolution of their relationship. From employer and protector to partners in a war against shadows. From professional distance to something neither had acknowledged directly. Kira met the girl's perceptive gaze. No, I'm not. Good. Micha smiled for the first time. He needs someone who understands the darkness. Who doesn't fear it. The meeting with Director Chun took place at a small tea house overlooking Tokyo Bay. Neutral ground. Multiple exits. Public enough to discourage violence. Private enough for honest conversation. Chun was older than Kira remembered. Silver threading through black hair. Lines around eyes that had seen too much. The weight of decades in intelligence work visible in her posture. You look well for someone who's supposed to be dead, Chun said by way of greeting. You look tired for someone who's supposed to be in control, Kira responded. Chun smiled thinly. Spectre's collapse has created ripples. Tsunamis, really. Intelligence communities worldwide are scrambling. Alliances shifting. Power vacuums forming. Not my concern. It should be. Chen's eyes shifted to Junho, who sat slightly apart, giving them space while remaining close enough to intervene if needed. You've made powerful enemies. Not just in Spectre, but in every agency that benefited from their operations. Every government that used them for deniable actions. Kira remained impassive. Why are you telling me this? Because I owe you. Because I couldn't save your unit 3 years ago, but I warned you in time. Chun placed a flash drive on the table between them. And because what's coming will make Spectre look like amateurs. What is this? Insurance. Evidence I've gathered over 20 years. Operations that make Black River look humanitarian. Names that would shock even you. Chun pushed the drive toward her. Use it if you need to. Destroy it if you don't. But know that the game never truly ends. The players just change. Kira didn't touch the drive. Why give this to me? Because you're the only one who's proven capable of actually using such information effectively. Chun stood to leave. And because retirement is looking increasingly appealing these days. After she was gone, Junho joined Kira at the table. What did she give you? A burden. Or a weapon. Depends on the perspective. Kira finally picked up the drive. And a warning that Spectre was just one head of a much larger Hydra. You believe her? Yes. Kira pocketed the drive. Organizations like Spectre don't exist in isolation. They're created to serve purposes. Those purposes don't disappear just because one tool is broken. Junho studied her face. This isn't over for you, is it? Is anything ever truly over? She met his gaze directly. You transformed from criminal to legitimate businessman, but the skills remain. The connections. The understanding of how power really works. And you? What transformation awaits the perfect weapon? The question was gentler than the words might suggest. Genuine curiosity rather than challenge. I don't know, she admitted. I've never been anything but this. That's not true. His hand moved toward hers, stopped just short of touching. I've seen glimpses of who you might have been, who you might still become. The moment stretched between them, fragile and significant. Two people accustomed to isolation, to maintaining distance, to trusting no one, standing at the edge of something neither had expected to find. Micha likes you, he said finally, breaking the tension. She's a remarkable young woman, strong, observant, adaptable. Like her father, he suggested with the ghost of a smile. Better than her father, Kira corrected, allowing herself the smallest answering smile. She has your strength without your darker tendencies. Our world needs both. The strength to build and the willingness to destroy what threatens what you've built. His eyes remained on hers. Few people understand that balance. The return to the compound brought news from Seoul. Agent Song Joon-ho's sister had been reinstated with the NIS. Her role in exposing Spectre now celebrated rather than condemned. Political survival at its most efficient. She wants to see you, Joon-ho told Kira as they reviewed security footage from the compound perimeter. Says she has information about former Spectre assets being recruited by other agencies. Do you trust her? She's my sister. It wasn't really an answer. Family is complicated. Everything is complicated, Kira responded. Except survival. That's simple. Is that all this is to you? Survival. The question caught her off guard. Not the words themselves, but the intensity behind them. The implication that there should be more. Could be more. Before she could answer, Micha entered the security room. The news is reporting that General Richards committed suicide in federal custody. Kira and Joon-ho exchanged glances. Neither believed it for a second. Convenient, Joon-ho observed. Expected, Kira corrected. Too many secrets. Too many powerful people implicated. Dead men tell no tales. Micha studied them both. But you have insurance, don't you? Something that prevents the same happening to you. Smart girl. Joon-ho looked at his daughter with undisguised pride. Yes, multiple layers of protection. Information stored securely with release protocols if anything happens to either of us. Kira raised an eyebrow at the either of us, but said nothing. The implication was clear. Their fates were now linked. Their security mutual. A partnership formed in combat, cemented by shared purpose. That evening, as Tokyo's lights glimmered in the distance beyond the compound walls, they gathered on the veranda. A rare moment of peace, of reflection. Three people bound by circumstance, by danger, by choices that had brought them to this unlikely sanctuary. I've been thinking, Micha said, breaking the comfortable silence, about what happens when we return to Seoul. Joon-ho looked at his daughter. What would you like to happen? I want to understand. All of it. The Iron Dragon Syndicate. JH Global Industries. The transformation you've made. Her gaze shifted to Kira. And I want to learn. Not to be a weapon, but to never be a victim again. Kira studied the girl carefully. Saw determination rather than trauma. Strength rather than fear. Something to nurture rather than worry about. I can teach you, she said finally. Not what Spectre taught me. Something better. How to protect yourself without losing yourself. Micha nodded, satisfaction in her eyes. And you'll stay? With us? In Seoul? The question wasn't just about location. It was about commitment. About future. About belonging somewhere to someone after years of belonging nowhere to no one. Kira looked at Joon-ho, found him watching her with that same intensity, waiting for her answer as much as Micha was. Yes, she said finally. I'll stay. The word felt strange, unfamiliar, a choice rather than an order, a beginning rather than an end. Later, when Micha had retired to her room, Kira and Joon-ho stood alone overlooking the garden. Night birds called from ancient trees. Security personnel moved discreetly along the perimeter. The world continued beyond their temporary sanctuary. Did you mean it? He asked, voice quiet in the darkness. About staying? Yes. No hesitation this time. Spectre is finished, but Chun is right. Other threats will emerge. Your legitimate business makes powerful enemies just as your criminal enterprise did. Different enemies, but no less dangerous. So this is still professional? Protection? Security? Kira turned to face him fully. Is that all you want it to be? The question hung between them. Direct. Unambiguous. A line crossed from which there was no retreat. Jun-ho studied her face in the moonlight. This woman who had saved his life multiple times. Who had rescued his daughter when professionals had failed. Who had dismantled one of the world's most powerful covert organizations through sheer will and terrifying competence. No, he said simply. That's not all I want it to be. The admission changed everything. And nothing. They had been moving toward this moment for months. Since that night in Seoul when 53 assassins had failed to kill him because of her. I don't know how to be anything but what they made me, she admitted, vulnerability showing for the first time. Then we'll discover it together. His hand found hers in the darkness. One day at a time. The touch was simple, human, grounding, his fingers warm against hers. A connection more significant than words could express. Tomorrow they would return to Seoul, to JH Global Industries, to the complex world of legitimate business built on illegitimate foundations. To whatever new threats emerged from Spectre's collapse. But tonight, in this moment, two people who had learned to trust no one began to trust each other. A former Mafia boss who had ruled through fear. A former black ops specialist who had existed as a living weapon. Both transformed by circumstance, by choice, by the recognition that some battles couldn't be fought alone. One day at a time, Kira agreed, her fingers tightening around his. In her pocket, the flash drive from Director Chin waited. New secrets, new dangers, new battles to fight. But for now, for this moment, the perfect weapon allowed herself to imagine a future beyond combat. Beyond vengeance. Beyond the ghosts that had driven her for so long. It wasn't peace. Not yet. Perhaps never completely. But it was a beginning. And for someone who had never expected to live this long, a beginning was enough. If you believe the most difficult battles we face aren't against our enemies but against what we've allowed ourselves to become, hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a comment telling me if you think Kira will ever truly escape her past, or if the perfect weapon can ever find perfect peace. This journey may be ending, but some stories are just beginning.